Good afternoon. My name is Brian Makris. I'm President and CEO of Home Choice Lending, and today we got a great guest here on Grit Matters, and we got Scott O'Connell, who is a local resident here. He grew up locally, and Scott, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, Brian, thank you. Appreciate the time, appreciate the business, and look forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me a little bit about, I know you grew up in Bedford, but not everybody knows your story, so tell me a little bit about who you are and how you got into the business.
So Scott O'Connell, I've actually born and raised in Bedford. 43 years old, and grew up literally right down the street from Home Choice Lending on Regency Drive.
I love it.
Got three older brothers, parents all live here still, and been in construction my whole life. I actually went to Wentworth in Boston for a construction management degree, so kind of continued on, and really just been in loved houses ever since. I got married and had a daughter in senior year in college.
Wow.
So I started off right away. First thing was we rented for a year, but then I knew buying a house was one of the best investments you could do. So I got into, buying a house, young age, and then traveled for about 10 years for work. I did work for Intel and ConocoPhillips.
Wow.
Traveled all around. I have 4 kids, all born in different states, so all different Social Security numbers.
Yeah, I know it.
Oh yeah. Circled back to New Hampshire in 2012 and been here since. And did a couple different things, but then got back into thinking get my real estate license, become a realtor, and been doing it ever since 2018. It's been great.
What made the jump? What made you go from hey, we're going to be ConocoPhillips to real estate? I know you come back here in 2012. You have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Is it flexibility because of class schedules and sports schedules? Is it and love real estate? What
a little bit of both.
Okay.
So 4 kids, all born different states. I was moving major project to major project every couple years.
Wow.
So my
tough.
kids would have to move schools.
Sure.
Like I said, I have 3 older brothers that live out here, all with nieces and nephews or their kids. So my kids have 13 cousins running around New Hampshire, or Bedford specifically.
I love it.
So getting them back into the fold of family. My wife's family's from Mass, so again, really close to home. But yeah, just kind of uplifting them every couple of years. It got a little old. We traveled. My kids saw more stuff in first 10, 15 years of their life than I ever did ever.
Wow.
I was out in California for a while. I was in Oregon. I was in New Mexico. I was in Texas.
All right,
I was in
that's pretty
St. Louis.
cool.
So Disneyland was an hour away from me,
So
when I got back, bought another house, and just, another source of income, being a realtor, gave me a little flexibility, and I love doing it. And being in construction, having a degree, I can help the buyers or sellers really see what they're buying or what they could happen with a little education, knowledge. And then those that are selling, what may sell it better. What can you do a little upgrade here, a little thing there, really makes an eye pop or, sell.
So I got to ask you about this, all right? So this is like one of the nicest, most generous closing gifts I've ever seen. Yetis are known as the premier cooler out there. I know they're not. You do 100 transactions, you're dropping $30,000,
Oh yeah,
give or take, just in closing gifts.
Yeah.
How did this start? And I know, when you get a Yeti, that's a thank you. That's a huge thank you.
Yeah.
And I see, tell me a little bit, how did that come to begin? And then you're like, wow, I'm doing this.
Yeah. So, I'm not a huge realtor. Okay. I do, probably 12 to 15 houses a year. Nothing huge. I have another full-time job because, again, I have kids at home, family.
Sure.
But I wanted, when a closing gift, you can do the boards, you can do pens, you can do cups, wine. The Yeti, to me, with their name on it, it kind of gives them something. One, they're going to use it all the time.
100%.
It is by far, I think, the best cooler out there.
I think
it
so
weighs
too.
a ton.
It does.
But it's insulated and it lasts. Ice will stay cold for days.
You bring that anywhere, and people they know Yeti. They know the brand.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah. So to me, it's one where they take it home as a home, congratulations gift. But they're always going to remember who gave them that Yeti.
Yeah.
They're always going to remember the day they got it, and the name on it. One on the bottom left there is actually sold their home and bought a new one, and put their name on one in the blue, and then the husband actually owns his own art. He does his own art, so I got his art logo for his company, had that made and put that on the other one, and they were really excited.
I love it. I mean, like I said, a Yeti, I know they're expensive, and I'm like, does he have family that owns part of the company? How are you pulling that off? It's truly, and you're right, they will take care of that cooler, and it's not typically a cooler that you'll go out and buy for yourself because they are so expensive. So when you have one, you're proud of it, and you show it off, and with their name on it.
It's like one of those Christmas gifts, you're not going to buy yourself. Right. But you're happy to have it.
Oh, yeah, you love having it.
And, to me, the closing gift, I mean, realtors, we do a lot of work. We definitely earn the money that we make. Yeah. But you do make a pretty good amount on each transaction. So, I mean, give them a little extra something, for their closing gift, that they'll always have.
It's awesome. It's definitely making a splash every time I see it. I'm like, Yeti, I love it. I love it. So tell me, here's the burning question about the market. What's going on out there? What's the update? Where are we? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse?
No, I mean, the market's the same. Really, it's not getting better. Inventory's still low. Okay. Prices are still high. You still have 30 to 40 buyers for one house. Wow. So, it's not going away, and there just aren't enough. I mean, if you look at the new house builds and house sales compared from years ago, the inventory is just low. We got so many more people moving in. New Hampshire, Manchester. I mean, if you looked at that, #1 place to move to. I mean, hottest market in the country.
Wow.
Not just New Hampshire. It's,
right.
And it goes a long way. I mean, people are moving in, whether it's a townhouse, a single family home, nice neighborhood. I mean, there's just so many buyers for each house. It's not going anywhere yet.
When you have somebody that's selling a house here, they're actually giving up a house and then they're buy a house. It's kind of an even swap. But when you have someone coming in from out of state, and I think that's kind of some of our challenges, people are working remotely. They can move to New Hampshire and have a tax income tax-free state.
Yep.
And I think I just saw a stat somewhere. There's only 9 states out of the 50 that are tax-free, and we're one of them. Florida's another one, but we're one of them.
Funny thing is, when going back to my stories, when I moved to Oregon's another income tax-free state. Okay. Which is, it's like going East Coast to West Coast, and you get, it was neat. But yeah, that's a big thing. I have a buyer right now from New York who is he trades gold, and they want to move to New Hampshire because the tax incentives. But he lives in the Hamptons in New York, unbelievable house. But it's a lot of those things. Arizona people, California. I mean, they're kind of moving.
So worked with quite a few people from New York City, executives that have moved into the area, and they're like, hey, listen, my apartment's costing me $15,000 a month. I'm buying a $1.2 million house with a pool and 5 acres, and that's only $5,000 a month.
Oh, yeah.
And they're no longer paying city tax, and they're not paying the state income tax, and they have that New York wage living in here where we got lakes and the beach and the mountains. We got casinos an hour away. We got Boston. So he's like, he goes, I have to go into the city once a month, but the rest of the time I'm working remotely. It's truly, these people that are moving into the state, they understand there is some major tax advantages to New Hampshire. Live for your die.
And the cost of living, so going back to that, California, I lived in San Diego for a while.
I used to live there. We talked about that off camera.
I had I think a 5% increase to my salary, but my cost of living went up, 50, 60%. Yeah. So when you move to New Hampshire, buying New Hampshire, moving from those higher cost states, you're getting a raise in your pay. Yeah. But cost of living is you're getting a bigger raise.
Correct.
And it's it's great.
And if you're transferring a pension, but you might have been in a tax state where you were creating that pension, but then you come here and you're doing your withdrawals, you're not having that income tax on the pension either.
Oh yeah.
So is this still the right time to list? If somebody's out there and they're afraid, hey, how am I going to move? I can't buy a house. If I sell my house, great, but I can't buy a house. So how are you helping customers with advice on that? Are you having them be flexible? Is it suitable housing clauses? How are you winning deals? Because I see you're still selling houses, you're still writing contracts. So how are you getting it done?
So I've actually had two of my last 2 buyers and sellers were both that. We sold and we bought. The biggest key right now is getting your house on the market to sell, so that when the clause comes, when you submit an offer for the new house you want, your house is already at least listed.
Got it.
Doesn't have to be, under contract, but at least you're showing that it's listed. I lost out on a few deals, or my buyers did, where we were selling their house, but they didn't have it listed yet, but they put offers in on new ones. Well, they looked at that. First question from the selling agent is the house on the market yet? No, it's not, but we're going to be.
Yeah.
Well, so that seller's taking the risk, or he's looking at the risk of what if that doesn't sell. And in this market, a house is going to sell in a heartbeat.
Right.
And truthfully, the buyers are now more inclined they're going to wait for that house. They just want it under contract. So you see tons of houses being listed, contingent on seller finding suitable housing. Well, that's fine, because as long as they have the house under contract, they know it's theirs. Mm-hmm. They're going to wait for it.
Got it.
And it's just a matter of time for that seller to buy a house. And you'll have a lot of clauses where they'll put, I want you under contract at least within 2 months maybe. Give them some sort of timeline so you're really not sitting there for 6 months waiting. But it also gives that buyer the option to back out of the deal if, it doesn't go through.
So in a situation like that, I'm gonna kind of change the pace here a little bit.
Yeah.
You really like to know who that loan officer is. How important is the lender in something like that? When you're dealing with a simultaneous closing, you've got a sale that's going to happen, and in order for that to happen, they have to get their proceeds so they can go to the purchase.
Yeah.
Do you work with? I know we've worked together, but I know that you're an expert in the business, so you have many. If they're coming to you, hey, I found this online pre-approval, are you saying, hey, you should really talk to somebody local, someone I know, someone that's in the industry, an expert?
Absolutely. I think your lender, I literally just lost the deal, but we submitted an offer, and the loan officer, I copied her on the email and the offer. She replied to the agent and said, hey, I'm, Joe Blow lender.
Sure. I'm
actually working with this buyer, financially very stable. I've run credit checks. I've run, payments. It's not just an income-based online pre-approval.
Right.
Which does go.
They can get those. And some of them do close, but they have a huge fallout.
Absolutely. But in this market, you definitely want to work with a lender specifically, have that pre-approval where you can, by all means, call out the loan officer and say, hey, can you talk to this agent and kind of reaffirm the credibility and the financial stability of my buyer.
I love it. So especially if they have a house to sell, we're looking at who's doing the financing. Obviously, if it's cash, that makes it a lot easier.
Yep.
But if they're putting down 20 or 30% and it's a conventional loan, and you're looking at the lender saying, I know the lender, this is, that person's individual, they're solid, we know what they're doing.
Right.
That all strengthens that deal going forward on their purchase.
Absolutely. Because I've run into a few where,
Online.
got approved,
and
then their financials actually didn't check out.
Yeah, and that's one of the classes that we do on our continuing classes is, how do we manage that thing? So if somebody's out there and they're thinking about selling, they're thinking about getting their house on the market, you can help coordinate a simultaneous closing, putting them both together?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is this the best way to reach you right up here?
Yeah, so my cell phone is on all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Really never shuts off. If you can't get me, you can't call the office and then just, ask for me, and
Gotcha.
Jackie, our secretary, will put you over to me.
I love it. Anything else you'd like to add about this crazy market? Any food for thought, any success stories, anything that you're like, listen, don't wait for the mulch, don't wait for the grass to be green. This is, if you're trying to sell, you're going to get top dollar in today's market.
It's definitely the time to sell. If you can't sell, don't. And there is no winter, spring market. I think the market is the market right now where, people are looking to buy. They're moving in. They need to sell. If you can downsize, there's always just that question mark of where am I going to go, which is pretty much every home seller right now.
Right.
Well, if I sell, where am I going to go?
Gotcha.
Older parents, like my parents, I'm trying to get them to sell, but they got 17 grandkids around and they don't want to, but that's the time, if you can downsize or just, because the interest rates right now, before they start to go back up, you're still buying, maybe you're paying more for the house, but your interest rate in the long run, you're still saving money. Absolutely. So it definitely evens out, or it gets even better, which, 1 or 2 points could be $40,000, $80,000 just in interest over a 30-year mortgage.
Absolutely.
So you're paying a little more, but at the long run, you're better off.
Absolutely. So everybody, so Scott O'Connell, Coldwell Banker, right here in Bedford, New Hampshire. He's licensed in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. If you're thinking about buying, whether it's an investment property, a second home, an island home up on Winnipesaukee, he's your guy. Give him a call. He's a local guy. He's growing up here. He's in the trenches. He knows the state extremely well. So Scott, I really appreciate you coming in today.
Hey Brian, thanks for having me.
All right,
just little yes sir.
Yes sir. Yes, absolutely.
Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you. Bye bye.